your host, Aaron Hensley. I'm joined with co-host Cameron Smith, another Rise and Thrive. What are we talking about today?
Today we're just talking about your inner circle. So the people that you surround yourself with. I think that's the perfect topic for us, honestly.
Okay, so inner circle. So what? Give me. What do you view yourself as your inner circle?
So for me, my inner circle would be those friends, family members, even that you surround yourself with that, you hold closest to you, you ask for advice, right? You go to those people when you need help,
Okay.
when you need support.
Is your mom in the inner circle?
Yes, my mom's in the inner circle.
You sure?
Yes,
What do you ask for advice
my
about?
mom's in my inner circle.
Yeah. Trying to get you in trouble on this.
You're trying to get me in trouble on this.
All right. Why's your mom in the inner circle?
Just because,
You
well,
think it's
one,
gonna be
she's
easy?
my
You didn't
mom,
think it's gonna be easy, did you?
right? No,
All
I
right.
didn't think that was gonna be easy. No, one, because obviously she's my mom, but she's the person that I can go to, especially just for emotional support, right?
Okay.
When I feel like whether I'm in a great mood or whether I'm feeling a little down, she'd be that person.
When do
that
you go to her more? When you're in a good mood or not in a good mood?
definitely go to her more when I'm bad.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. How do
Yeah.
we do that? I don't know. All right. Anyway,
Yeah.
so mom's in there.
Mom's in my inner circle. Obviously, you're in my inner circle. And then my wife's in my inner circle.
Why she got to be in there?
She has to.
Why?
I
Why's it
spend a
gotta
lot
be-
of time around her.
Oh,
She's
good. Not really. You've been somewhere else.
That's true.
This man gets married and then says, "Bye, honey. I got to take a job in New Jersey." And then she's in Georgia. So
Yeah.
how long after you got married were you just booted out and left town?
We moved the next day. So
Yeah,
we got
moved the
married,
next
and the
day.
very next day we moved to Atlanta.
Yeah, she must love you.
Yeah. She
Okay.
does.
All right. So the wife, your mama, me. Who else? You don't have to tell me your names, but just kind of the people they represent.
Yeah. So for me, what's weird is I feel like friends have started to become more family for me.
Sure.
So, you can't, I can't even remember the saying. It's like you can't choose your friend. Something.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't even remember the saying.
What is that? How does that go? You don't choose your family, but you can choose your. I don't know. I
Some,
know what
it
you
was
mean.
something
Yeah,
like that.
right.
But I feel like friends have become more family for me.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
obviously, yeah, my mom's in my inner circle. That's family, right? But for you, like we're not blood, but we're family.
Right.
But we're friends that are family, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Same thing with people that I've worked with that have become family for me. I feel like those are my inner circle people.
So what I think happens is people a lot of times, let's say they get a job, and then you spend probably more time at your job than you do at the house,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And so that becomes your quote unquote inner circle, which are probably all the wrong people,
Yeah.
right? Meaning, this weekend my son and I are out of town together, and he has a very strict diet. You know this, right?
Yeah,
He eats
chicken tenders,
chicken tenders and
French
fries.
fries.
That's
That's
his,
it.
he's a
That's all he
strict
eats.
diet, right? So he's hungry, and this man like he competed all day before, whatever,
Yeah.
and he lives off protein bars, chicken fingers, and fries, type thing. And so Sunday, Chick-fil-A's closed, so that's his go-to Chick-fil-A. So we had to go to a competitor of Chick-fil-A, and so I park. I give him the credit card, let him
Yeah.
go in. 15 minutes goes by. He walks in, hands me the car, and says, "Don't worry about it, just go." I'm like, "What? Whoa, what happened?" He, he's 14. Just give you some context here. He's like, "Nobody there wants to work. Nobody would take my order." I'm like, whoa, what do you mean? He's like, "There's 3 people in there. All they do is talk. They're just hanging out. They're not servicing anybody."
Oh wow.
So we can leave or I can go through drive-through. So I go through drive-through, get the order, we get up there, and as I pull up to pay, I hear them just gossiping,
Yeah.
BSing about life. They're there for a paycheck, and here's what's happened. And they're there for a paycheck. They're going to probably take all their money, spend it on the weekend, come back to work on Monday, and bitch about how horrible their life is.
Exactly.
So their inner circle becomes the people they work with.
Yeah.
And typically, it's not the best people. The reason why I asked you about your mama, okay, and I know
Yeah.
your mama, love your mama, but your mama, not just your mama, my mama, it's always doesn't mean anything about love or respect, but sometimes it's not the best person to go to for advice on everything.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, like, hey, I'm gonna call my dad, I'm gonna call my mom. Just because they live longer than you doesn't necessarily mean that they're the right person to push on you for a specific subject.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true. That is true.
So yes, I'll call my dad about especially look, I'll call my dad if I gotta figure out how to put something together. Because
Yeah.
I don't know any of that shit. And I'll call my mom, particularly if I need, you know, health advice or parenting advice when it comes to my kids, things like that. But I'm not gonna take business advice from my mom and dad. Not because look, I got started in business because of them,
Yeah.
but I scaled past them. So I don't need to go downward to get advice. I need to go to someone above me.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
some people can be in your inner circle, but you got to be guarded about, right?
Yeah. So on that, it almost sounds like you would say you should have different circles for different
Absolutely.
areas of life.
You should have it. Like, for example, we're talking about when you live here, we're going to go to the gym
Yeah.
and we're excited about going to the next level because we can push each other. Well, in our health circle, we need people who are not only just in better shape, better knowledge, right?
Yeah.
We need to seek out people to actually get in their circle,
That's true.
find a way to get in their circle. I
Yeah.
interviewed someone here who is a female bodybuilder, right? Competitor.
Yeah.
Why do you think I'm doing that? I'm trying to be in that circle,
Yeah.
right? So I had a pastor here last week, like trying to get in a different faith circle.
Yeah.
So you should have different circles of people. And then here's the hard thing is if you just have one and you try to put everybody in one bucket, it's kind of like going back to the mom thing is like they're not always the best people to get it. Like you should not be asking me about medical advice. I don't know anything about it. I'm a dad doesn't necessarily mean I'm an expert on parenting. All right. My kids are pretty damn good. I think it's more luck than anything. I think that's way more like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like I, maybe the culture in our household is a certain way where it sets that tone, but um, there's no perfect way to parent. So, uh, but if you need to ask advice about, you know, running a company or how to go after your targets in life and goals and how to not be scared of going out after everything, sure, call me up for that.
Yeah.
You know, you want to ask me about struggles in relationships? I've been through a lot of struggles,
Yeah.
right? We talked about this in Miami. You know, everybody's like, this person's been over here, they've been married 50 years. Let's ask them about marriage advice. I don't necessarily think, no, I'm not saying don't ask them, but when somebody's been married 50 years, it sounds like that's great. They've been through some trials and tribulations, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Maybe they just got lucky and they met the right person at the right time, or they didn't know that who they were, whatever the situation is. But how about the guys who married 3 times, divorced, and then finally figured it out?
Hmm.
Like it's like in business. If someone's never had struggles in business, I don't want to ask them for advice. I want to know
Yeah.
someone who's went after it, had some setbacks, had some challenges.
Still overcame.
Who do we always root for, right?
Underdog.
There's a guy I can picture his face. Brendan Fraser. Probably don't know who that is before
No.
you tell me. This kid's young. All right. I was talking to somebody today. They're like, how old is Cameron? It's like he's 24. Like, oh my God, I thought he was like 29, 30 years old. He's so much older.
I get that a lot.
Brendan Fraser he was the actor in The Mummy. Okay, you don't remember that.
I don't
He
know
was a
that,
kid.
yeah.
He was a kid. But he just won an Oscar. And what happened was is Brendan Fraser kind of became an outlier to Hollywood. He got kind of pushed out and kind of quit the scene for a minute. Then came back, and then it was hard to come back because they kind of it's a circle.
Yeah.
And so he ends up doing this movie, which I haven't seen yet, that I'm interested in seeing. Um, and ends up winning an Oscar for it. So now he's like,
Wow.
he is truly the golden child.
Yeah.
We like a comeback story. We love that.
Yeah.
Tom Brady being, Mr. Irrelevant when he's picked in the draft. It's a scrawny little dude, and he's a backup quarterback to become the greatest of all time. We
Yeah.
love that story.
Yeah.
We love that story. That's why when he went through his divorce, there's a lot of people that we have success that hate you, right?
Oh yeah.
People hated Michael
Oh, yeah.
Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, Brady. People hate Trump. They hate like anybody who's like won massively in life.
Yeah.
They're like, because they don't understand it. And when
Exactly.
they don't understand, they hate it. Uh, so I think oh, going back to Brady, like when he had his divorce, people who secretly didn't want to, because it was really easy to hate him when he was winning.
Yeah.
Then he got so good, you almost like couldn't hate the man because I hated him at first.
Now you're
Like,
like,
love him. Now, yeah, right. I'm trying to have his baby if I can. Um, hashtag Brady's baby. All right. You seen his new girlfriend? He's not doing too bad. Show you a picture later. So I need to be in his circle. That's what I'm trying. But no, I need to get in Brady's circle. How do I do that?
you've already gotten like off the story.
Wait,
off the
anyway.
topic.
When he went through his divorce, people were jumping on the bandwagon
Yeah.
to like it's lice or whatever. Because when someone's had such a, but I was at his last 2 games. Tom Brady, I was at his last 2 games.
Yeah.
Including the playoff game he lost, and I was at his first public speaking engagement after retirement. I
Yeah.
might be the only person in the world who could say that.
Yeah.
Maybe, possibly. So, but what I liked about this interview, because it was a small group, 4,500 people in this interview, this first one he did, I could resonate. We talked about the 90 days of like being disciplined before like it shows up in your body or shows up in your business, whatever.
Yeah.
This man basically just has done that his entire career where he sacrificed the delayed gratification. Like
Yeah.
people pick on him about the kind of food he eats and the stretching he does, whatever. Proof's in the pudding. And to bring it back to the circle, then is like when you want to attract someone like that in your circle, You can't, like, you and I are not at a level even attract somebody to him
Yeah,
want to put us in that.
that's true.
So I think not only should you have multiple circles that you're trying to get into, a health circle, health, spiritual circle, your business circle, right? Your relationships, your family even should have something like that. But you should be trying to elevate it.
Yeah.
Like, how do I find someone better to get involved and be in theirs?
Yeah, surround yourself with people that are doing better than you in that area.
Yeah.
It forces you to have to grow. Like you talk about that grow or go
Choked you
kind of
up,
thing.
didn't it?
Yeah, it shook me up.
Yeah, grow or go. Well, the thing is though, is it's like imagine pick someone right now famous that's a mentor that you listen to maybe, or that's on a
Yeah,
podcast or whatever.
yeah. I mean,
Think of
Grant Cardone
Grant
obviously
Cardone.
comes to mind.
Okay,
Yeah,
so like if you want to be in his circle, one, you got to be massively successful.
yeah.
You have to be doing something big enough where he starts paying attention to you. It's true. Okay. Actually, one of our friends owns a premier martial arts studio in Florida. Okay.
Okay.
Jeff Sesser.
Yeah.
He takes and travels all over the competitions, the SEMA competitions all the time. He just signed up a kid at his school, the son of Stormy Daniels, or not Stormy Daniels. That's the
Well,
porn star. We don't want to talk about that. Stormy Wellington. Hey, that'd be cool too. Get both of them. Okay. Trump was in the news because he's got a rain yesterday. But he didn't even know who she was.
Oh, really?
And I'm like,
Dude.
so she got Grant's attention because she wrote her first investment was a $5 million check.
Yeah.
$5 million check. She's like, hey, I want your attention. I want to
Here's how you
invest.
get it,
Right.
yeah.
She's in his circle now. She's been on the stages.
Yep.
So that's how she did it. You want to like, so how do you get to the
Yeah.
circle? You got to get their attention.
Yeah.
The only way you're going to get their attention, you got to do something big.
Yeah.
You got to do something big. Right. So you got to start thinking about who circle do you want to be in.
Yeah.
Who do you want? Who do you want?
It's definitely things to think about. I think that's something that I haven't spent a lot of time on. Honestly, like I feel like that's an area I need to sit down and really think about. Like, okay, each of these buckets of life, who are those people that I want to surround myself with? Who's got what I'm chasing after that I can aspire to be like, right? And get those people to surrounding me so that way I can force myself to go to that new level.
So here's what I did in the karate world. You got to take advantage of this. When I owned karate studios, when I was a kid competing, it was before internet and all this kind of stuff. So we would go to tournaments and film people that were above me, like different age group,
Yeah.
right? And we'd film on VHS tapes. You don't even know what that is probably either. But
No to VHS.
okay. So we'd film on these tapes and we'd film people who were, like I said, I was in the young kids group. So there'd be the older kids in higher ranks.
Yeah.
But people you want to aspire to be like.
Yeah.
And we'd go home, we would watch these tapes and we're like, pause, rewind, pause. You're like slow mo, like, and you couldn't do it like today we could scrub with your phone and it's simple, right? So that was the hack back then of like, how do I get closer to those people? Well, Jackson was with me and he was like, hey, we're going to be a competitor. I'm like, hey, my opportunities, because I own a martial arts school now, I can bring these people to.
Yeah.
I can bring the Jackson Rudolphs, the Reed Presleys,
Yeah.
the Mackenzie Emerys, the Matt Emmings, the Calvin Chokas, which all these names you probably don't know, but these are superstars, competitors that were that top
Yeah.
echelon. I could bring these people in to work with my students, but then to be one-on-one with my son, and not just to train him, but to sit around and let them talk to me, and Jackson can hang out with them and hear them tell stories. You got to hang out with some of these conversations and build a relationship. So I wanted a circle for my son, and I was like, hey, I'm willing to pay, bring you in. My students get a lift, right?
Yeah.
What I do with Damon West, same thing. All right, I want a relationship with him. Hey, here's 15,000.
Instead of buying this book, you actually bring him.
Here's 15,000. Now I got the man's cell number, and if I've got an opportunity to lift him up, or sometimes might need something, I've got someone that I can do that, right? So I think you got to start. You made a comment, I think of the car at dinner tonight about him cool to buy a gym or own a gym.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the best way to do that is you got to get involved with people who own gyms. So think about that. Whatever your goals are, you want to own real estate, you got to get a real estate club. You got to get in that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And going back to even what you were just talking about a second ago, like with the whole competition thing, like all the superstar martial arts competitors that are out there. I remember even when I wanted to take that step to getting into competing, even me and you had a conversation about like what route do I take to get ready for competition. You were asking me a question like, do you want to be the best of the amateurs,
Right.
or do you want to be third, fourth place to the best in the world, right?
Right.
Which at the time it was Jackson, Rudolph, Cole,
Right.
Preston, Reed, Presley, all these guys. And exactly like you're talking about going back watching film, like I remember moments just like sitting there scrolling on YouTube, just watching videos of these guys over and over and over again, watching what they do, why they perform at the high level. And at that time, I'm looking to them as idols.
Right.
And then, just like you said, you started bringing them in. Now, these idols that I'm watching and trying to mimic and try to be like, started developing a relationship with them now. We're friends. And I don't know, you almost get that like, it's that weird like superstar kind of effect when you're around those kind of people that you've looked up to. And I'm
Right.
like, wow, like I'm actually like in this circle with these people, talking to him, like Reed, like I have his number. Like at one point, if you would have that 7 years ago, I would have like freaked out to have Reed press his number. But now it's
Right.
like, yeah, like I know the guy, we're friends, like it's cool.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
it's different. It's cool how like you see that that perspective kind of change as you start to level yourself up.
So you talked about, to bring to context there, you talked about, do you want to be the top around the amateurs or be third or fourth to the best in the world?
Yeah.
Explain that to from a non-competitor world. Like what was the lesson from that?
Yeah, I think the lesson for me was, well, to backtrack, I was getting ready to start my journey in competition
Right.
and
Martial arts competition.
martial arts
He spun some
competition.
sticks in the air. That's what
Yeah,
he did.
there we go. But it was an area that I wasn't familiar in. I
Okay.
didn't have any experience at all in. Honestly, I had my own doubts. And you even did an episode on like, the self
Right.
doubt and all that. I had my own doubts going into it. And the easy thing for me to do would have been to compete. There were two different classes. You had more of your, I guess it was more of like a world rank class, and you had more of like an amateur class. So I had
Right.
two ways I could have gone in competition. And I was teetering back and forth because my doubt was kicking in, going, well, I'm definitely not good enough to go against these guys. So
Right.
maybe I should just try this to kind of start it out and get a feel for it. But then you're saying that, hey, you could do this, or you can force yourself to grow and challenge yourself and push yourself and put in more work to maybe not beat these guys, but at least put yourself in the running to have a strong placement against guys who are top of their game, right?
Sure.
And that was something I was kind of struggling back and forth with. So I decided I would go that route. And what I noticed is it forced me to have to bring out a different level of myself.
Right.
And I think there's the lesson in that is sometimes we're going to be afraid to do things. Doubt's going to kick in, you know, fear of the unknown, just fear in general. A lot of times we allow that to run our choices and our decisions that we make, and not always in the best way, right? We know that fear is going to be there. We know that doubt's going to be there. But instead of running away from taking the action or do whatever that thing is, I feel like that's actually an opportunity for you to grow. So when you go after it, when you attack it head on, it forces a different level of you to come out. You learn new things, you experience new things, right? You gain more knowledge that way. It's gonna level you up. You're gonna learn a lesson, right? You're either gonna grow or you're gonna learn a lesson.
So Cameron and I, we help coach business owners. He would typically work. I work with the owners. He works with the staff. So taking that same analogy, what tends to happen a lot of times when I'm coaching a business owner and you're working with staff, you get two options. One, it's going to be freaking hard as hell.
Yeah.
All right. You're probably not going to hit everything that you want. The other one is more of a sure bet.
Yeah.
But the payoff is very small, meaning
Sure.
like, you might get that sell, but it's $300. You might get this sell over here and it's 3,000. Right. So there's a big difference in the opportunity, but people choose this over and over again, even people that we deem to be successful because it has least resistance.
Yeah.
And then what I've learned is like, how do you grow your muscles?
Stress and pressure.
You got to put pressure on. You got to have some resistance. If there's no resistance to the weight, well, matter of fact, it wouldn't. If there's no struggle, then the victory of creating the body and the strength wouldn't have a payoff, right? So in business, when you keep taking the easy thing, eventually you're just out of business.
Yeah.
And when you have the struggle, either you go out of business as well because you can't figure it out, or you figure it out and you get this massive success. And massive success is measurable different, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
mean you're a multimillionaire or whatever, but I think most people when they face those two options, and you when you're younger, the kids that are having parents direct, parents don't want to see their kids struggle.
Yeah.
So like, hey, go over there, compete over there, and they brag. There's one person in particular I'm thinking of right now, doesn't go to any of the big events, goes to small events over it, and the family's bragging about how
Yeah.
you and Rob know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. But the family's bragging about how their kid's like awesome, but he never goes against real competition.
Yeah.
So at some point that kid knows like I'm beating nobody, right? I'd rather, if I'm a basketball player, put me against LeBron and let me be runner up to
Yep.
him than to go play at some rec league, right?
Yeah.
Same thing for golf. Like, let me get runner up to Tiger Woods or someone like that,
Yeah.
right? Because or guess what? They're human.
They made mistakes. And honestly, actually, that ended up happening at one point to me. I remember it was a competition back in Augusta. Like that was my first time actually being on stage
Right.
for a grant.
Right, for next year, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody made a mistake,
Yeah.
you capitalize.
Exactly.
And so people think that's lucky. Well, one, you got to do the training, so you're prepared.
It's true.
You had to pay an entry fee. You had to show up.
Yeah.
You're there. You're prepared. You show up.
Yeah.
You had to nail your thing,
Yep.
and then someone else created a window for you.
Yeah. But
Right.
there's another lesson in that too, is I also didn't prepare for that as strong as I should have because the opportunity arose and I wasn't able to capitalize on it the way that I wish going back. Like I wish I could have capitalized on that opportunity more because I remember like I was freaked out. Like
Right,
I knew I didn't train as hard as I should
Right,
have
right,
to get prepared for that event. Opportunity came up. Now I remember like those 24 hours I was panicking. Like I was freaking out. Like
Right.
I'm changing my routine. I'm
Right.
trying to like I'm trying to figure all this stuff out before I go. My heart's racing,
Right,
like,
yeah.
and I look back on it now, and I'm like, that's where I realized, man, like there was that lack of consistency and discipline. Where if I would have stayed on it, would have stayed on track the way that I could have,
Right.
it would have yielded a better result.
So what's the saying? Always be ready.
Always be
Right.
ready. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good thing. But even with that being said, showing up, giving your best, and obviously someone creates a window for you, you got to take advantage of it. There's a lot of times that happens in a sporting event. There's a window that's created, and the underdog doesn't capitalize because they're not really ready mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever it might be. So going back to that fork in the road decision is like I always push people like, look, I'd rather I'd rather me be
Yeah.
the fourth best of the entire world than the best of four people.
Yeah.
Right. Like so in business, I want to do that and you know, competition of some kind, like put me against better people because better people will either break you, you'll give up because you lose and lose and lose. Losing does suck, obviously. But if you don't learn a lesson and you don't change anything, right? If nothing
Yeah.
changes, nothing changes.
Yeah.
But if you're losing to better people and you go back to the drawing board, you have a focus and attention. Matter of fact, it's actually easier to be in that position than be the guy at the top. The guy at the top don't have nobody chasing. That's when they get lazy, right? People talk about Conor McGregor got lazy after he made all this money because what's the driving? What's the force? He beat the people he needed to beat to make the money he did. He capitalized on the moment. Like what's next,
Yeah,
right? So
100%.
I think he shouldn't fight again. He probably will be fighting again, but uh, you know, it's like Brady. What's unique about him is after you won four rings and you're no longer like you're then you win the fifth ring, then you win the sixth ring. Like at some point, you just
Yeah.
like shit. Like I'm rich, I'm good looking,
Yeah.
I got a great family. Like, but he somehow manifested. It's that divine um, discontent, right? Like
Yeah.
you're never
Never
satisfied.
satisfied.
Never satisfied. By the way,
We've talked about that before.
that's a
Like,
curse and a blessing all
yeah.
put together. And he lost his wife because of that.
Yeah.
Right now, there might be other stuff going on, but really, ultimately, that's probably what played out. And I guarantee part of him retiring this year is because right, it sucks to lose your family, so he's trying to figure that out. I think.
Where you find that balance though? It's like even we've talked about that, that never being satisfied. Like I've even texted you before, like,
Yeah.
man, like I feel like I can always want more. I want that next thing where I can push myself to the next level. Like I always feel like that hunger is there. But where's that? I don't even know if there really is a healthy balance. So
I don't like the word balance. Like balance is designed to learn how to get out of balance. So, for example, let's take a martial arts kick. You learn how to throw a kick.
yeah,
When you've never done martial arts before, just picking up your leg to throw a kick, your balance could be low. Over time, practice, repetition, corrections. You can throw a kick, you can hit a target, boom, it's easy, pop, boom, right? So the thing is, once you throw that kick and you can master that kick, now it's time to level up the kick. Now you're adding a spin. Now you're adding a jump. You're adding a level of difficulty. So if you get that level of balance, you stay there. To me, you actually become out of balance again because you're no longer growing. So you finally get let's say it's a side kick. You're like, damn, I'm nailing, I can hit any target. But now we had a jump. Now we had a run and jump. Now we had a jump and spin. right? We had combinations to it. So life's like that. Like when you get in balance, it's basically it's a warning sign of like, oh shit, I'm not challenged anymore, and I'm gonna get comfortable. I'm gonna get complacent, which then I'm gonna slide back. So, but people who have that spirit in them that nothing's ever good enough, if you harness it right, it can be a great blessing. But you got to be transparent with the people like your wife and people like that. Like, look, I knows like it's not about toys and money and houses and stuff like that. Like I like to work. I like to make an impact. I like the influence. It feeds my spirit when I can do that. And what will kill me is if I'm not able to do that. When I'm able to chase it, it will kill me. Right? My body might still be alive, but I'll be mentally dead, and I won't be good for anybody. So, I mean, I think Elon's like that. Like, shit, that's not a bad guy to be chasing. Right? Like, you start thinking about when I was a kid, one of the big movie stars at the time was a guy named Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm sure you know this, bodybuilder, moved here from from another country, moved here, became a bodybuilder, got success there, got to movies, became governor, right? Whatever if you like the guy, don't like the guy, but I think I was obsessed. Um, I mean, if you ever watch there's a documentary he did called Pumping Iron, you would like it. It's weird a little bit, but he relates, right? Getting a little adult here, he relates getting the pump in the gym to an orgasm. Like he was so attracted to getting a pump, it was equal to sex for him.
Oh wow.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, exactly. But what my point is like that's an obsessed person. He tricked himself to make it feel pleasurable to do what the other guys would complain about.
Yeah.
He would not become movie star or I think a 7-time Olympian or 8-time, somewhere crazy, right? Wouldn't have done that. Wouldn't become movie star. Wouldn't become governor.
Yeah.
Would have done all these things without that obsession. Tom Brady wouldn't have become who he is, right? Like you can look at anybody, Elon, Bezos. If these guys had balance in their life, here's the thing: is when they give advice later in life, when they're multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires. Look, I mean, Bezos is building like a $300 million yacht right now, some crazy shit. He went to the moon, or not the moon, went to space. Like, when you got that kind of money, now you can have balance because it's like, you know,
Yeah.
what else?
What
And
is
by the way,
next?
that's why they're chasing stuff now because they're like, what's the next fix?
Yeah.
It's like a drug. So I can't wait to get to that level.
Yeah.
I want to know what it's like to have a couple hundred billion in the bank. Yeah. Not even in the bank's leverage somewhere. But so bringing it back, finishing up, talking about circles. So your mama can be in your circle. It's cool. But I probably wouldn't call your mama for financial advice, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's not disrespectful.
No.
And if your mom or anybody's mama finds that disrespectful, now first of all, if your mama is somebody like Kathy Wood or something like that, I don't know who that is either. I got a lot of people to go look up.
All these
She created a company called Arc, and she's worth I don't know. She was worth hundreds of millions, lost some, but still pretty good. Um, but unless your mom's someone like her, your mom's probably not the best person for financial advice. Unless your dad's got a six pack and ripped, that's probably not the best guy to ask for health advice, right? So you can still love them, but put them in your circle. It's a different kind of thing. So we gotta reevaluate circles. We gotta find ones we want to be in. Okay, I want to be in Brady's circle. That's the key right there. Brady's babies.
You were how far away from when you did this?
They're like 10 feet, bro. Almost around the stage.
I remember you texting me. You said if he comes up on stage, like we might have to bail you out.
That was awesome. See that. Hey, appreciate you today.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Talk to you soon.